for coming. This is the 2014 Mural Bike Tour featuring murals of the Whitaker neighborhood. I'm really excited to be here. My name's Jessica Watson. I'm the main coordinator of this tour. We have Katie here, also from Lane Arts Council, with the guide if you have not picked one up yet. It has every mural we're going to visit today. There's going to be 13 of them, and we are very excited to have an artist at every mural. Yeah, definitely cool. You're going to see murals you've seen every day, but you don't know the story behind them, so it's a really cool event. Special thanks to Taco Bar and Arriving by Bike for sponsoring this event. We need sponsors like them to put on events for free. So thank you. I'm now excited to introduce our host, Sean Mediaclast. You might know him from his extensive history in Eugene. I've known him for about 6 years. He was the founder of the Museum of Unfine Art. He's an artist himself, and he's now co-owner of the Cowfish nightclub downtown, where he also DJs. He's very talented, and he is hosting the tour today. Sean, are you ready?
Hey, how you guys doing? You might want to gather around a little bit tighter because we don't got the best sound system here, so it's going to be tough to hear. We'll try to walk around and look at all of these amazing murals by Esteban Camacho Stevenson. He's right here, the artist, and I was really struck by these murals just because of their size and scale, and you know, just really quick, when did you do these murals? You want to come over here by the mic?
I finished them in June 21st, so I just finished them.
Okay. Just this summer?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's four murals really, and you know, you could say they're two continuation around the bend, but I'm really struck by how, and I don't know if this just happened by coincidence, but all of them somehow have some element in them that really kind of hints at structural support or foundation, and I'm assuming that was intentional.
Yeah, each panel represents the elements: fire, water, ice, earth. This right here represents the sunset because the sun actually sets and creates a light, really interesting light beam like that up here. Over there, I took the sunrise. So when the light hits the columns, it creates these lines, which I kind of copied in these white lines coming through the cave. So the idea was to put the skate park into a context of the natural ecosystem. So here, I represented the columns that people get to rock climb, the Willamette River in all its glory. And then the fact that we're under a freeway bridge and having this scale, I wanted to do a piece of art that talked about how we take shelter under this space, and what do we do with well, we're bicyclists right now, so I put images that bring all the community about trying to work for a more peaceful community. And we want to protect the natural environment, glaciers, and so we have a challenge or a struggle in this infrastructure. I'm not being really eloquent.
Well, I saw what you're trying to say in your work, because your work really does reflect sort of a tension between like nature and, you know, industry and the highway system, and I really like how all of the murals have like this idea of weight and structure in them. And if you go around to the other side, and I think after we're done here, we should just all take a walk around and look at all these murals, but the far mural over here on the other side has this sort of abstracted sort of cement column structure that is really great, and it's really cool to see these murals reflecting the function of what you're standing under in a way, you know?
Yeah, back to the structures. So when I was looking for designing these murals, all these curves, all these concrete structures that we've built to make this really incredible park, I wanted to take that but not paint them literally. I wasn't going to paint another skate park. So this iceberg, water forms ice and creates these half-pipe-like shapes. Rocks form all over Oregon. And so my idea here is that as skateboarders come up here and grind, they might want to grind on those rocks right over there. And then over there, it's a riverbed. So we're a fish, or we're an animal under the water, and we're seeing the rock formations in these curves as if we were skateboarding, but we're in a different context. And then the final piece is very much about the structure that's holding the bridge, but in a way it's floating over a very delicate marshland with green and yellow colors, which is the U of O colors, so that we can identify with that natural environment that we want to protect.
All right, thanks a lot. And before we move on to the next mural, let's all walk around and look at all of them really quick. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Sorry if that was a little confusing at first, but we're here at an amazing mural by Kari Johnson, who will be talked about a few times on this tour. But we're here looking at a deer that was a collaboration around 2003 between her and two other artists, Heather Flores and Annie Dakota. I guess this had many stages. Tell us about it.
Well, Heather Flores brought Eric Drucker to town, and you all might know Eric Drucker. He's a San Francisco sort of activist artist who does wood block kind of prints, and he came and spoke and inspired us all about art and community art. And so Heather Flores talked to the city and got permission to do this mural, and everybody was real enthusiastic at first, and then abandoned it, and so I finished it, and then but it's easy for me, you know. I mean, sometimes, I mean, I'm a muralist. I was like, oh, I'll just finish it. That's no problem. But you know, kind of the same as Esteban's philosophy. We wanted to bring the feeling of nature into the city. I mean, we're always animals. No matter where we are, you know, no matter what we've done to ourselves, we're always animals. And we wanted to make something that was really relatable, you know, and respect our animal selves. So this is like a very sort of emotional animal. I mean, it's crying, you know, it feels, you know, we all have those parts of ourselves all the time, and this is a good environment to bring that kind of feeling too. And it got vandalized a lot in the beginning, and then I wrote "Respect Art" on the side, and magically, I don't know, people respected it. I mean, sometimes you just got to ask for what you want, I guess. And it really hasn't been vandalized for years and years. And I think also a mural's around for a while, and it starts becoming so much part of the environment. People grow up with it, and you know, it starts having its own sort of weight to it. And I think it's just been here long enough that it's just here, you know. So it's been respected for years, and it'd be nice to have all of these columns painted. I think that'd be really great.
Yeah, it's a great piece. I love how you can see it from across the park. It's really cool to see that deer. So thanks a lot for the description and the history of it. We're going to head to shelter care right across Washington. Just you can see the mural if you look where I'm pointing. That's where we're going, and we're going to talk about that one real soon. And yes, try to stay on the grass.
Tina over here, Valentina Gonzalez, nice to see you. And this mural here was a collaboration project, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us how this came about and how it ended up like it looks right now?
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? Know about the grade 2014, what? My name's Valentina. We basically got together after the city's art commission put me in touch with shelter care. I submitted a proposal along with 2 other artists, and my proposal was chosen. So I began working with Lucy, the director of shelter care, and she assembled an advisory committee consisting of graphic designers, architects, construction, McKinsey Construction, and consumers from their organization, and we all sort of like brainstormed and came up with a concept that we thought was going to help illustrate the cause of the organization and sort of where we wanted to go with our design. So our concept was the idea of transition through help. So the different points that we all are in during certain parts of our life. We go from needing help to getting help to giving help. So these were the sort of foundational blocks that help us create what this mural was going to be about. So when I went to design, I thought the honeycomb sort of really represents the idea of community and how you know, we all need to work together to be able to build the hive. And yeah, so that was basically how that went down. And I like neon.
I think events and moments like this are great because a lot of times you see art and you look at it and you see an abstract shape and you go, that's really cool, but you don't really get the thought process of what brought it about. And when I first saw it, that's what I said. I was like, wow, that's awesome. But I did until I read about it, then I found out the honeycomb thing and then the community aspect of that. It's really cool to see that down here, and what Shelter Care does is really inspiring here in Eugene. I don't think that Eugene has had an organization quite like it, and so it's a great location for that type and theme. So and thanks for letting everybody in on that. That was cool. So let's see, does anybody here have any other questions for Valentina? Do you want to?
What are the symbols?
I come from South American descent, and because of that, I've been sort of obsessed with symbology of my culture, and so I've taken sort of the classic glyph and turned it into my own little language, and I usually use it at the beginning of the project to sort of inspire my direction, and they always go in last, which is weird. But this time they went in first because I felt like the inspiration was superseded my creative aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? That answer your question? Oh yeah, and it's not finished also. Just so you know, we've got a foreground design, and we've got a workshop here today where people have signed up and they're going to help us actually finish the piece. And yeah, so keep checking it out.
I'm just curious, up until this point, how many people have been involved with this already? And how many do you expect to have?
4. Myself and 4 others have helped painted. It's really been cool because it's in the neighborhood and we all live in the Whitaker. So whenever friends come by that I know paint, I'll be like, yo, hang out, like pick up a can. What do you think about this? Like, so it's been a total collaborative effort, like in terms of like execution, like we're all working together. The original mock-up doesn't match this entirely because of all the different people who put their pieces in.
Festival. I'm Frank Crafts, the host of this series, and our series is brought to you by a terrific sponsor, very appropriate for this time of year, the Allergy and Asthma Center, BC. Let's thank them for their support. Greetings to all of you. Well, the Oregon Bach Festival, big crowd here, up above and down below. Thanks for being here.
Remember his experience in Botswana, so we had the shaman of the village sing a piece because he wanted to write it down and remember it. So the shaman sang, and so he takes out his manuscript and he says, okay, play it again. And the shaman goes, and Yo-Yo says, yeah, but that's not what you sang before. And the shaman said, well, the first time I sang it, there was a herd of antelope in the distance, and there was a cloud passing over the sun. So music is here, music is now, and music is always in the moment. It's always different somehow. So, I just sort of, cookie cutter performances for me just don't work. I could never sing the song the same way, because it's a new moment, it's a new hall, it's a new audience. I feel differently, I'm a day older, I've had a good day or a bad day, I'm worried, I'm angry, I'm joyful, I'm hungry, I'm full. I mean, all of those things go into my performance. So whatever I am, when I sit down in a chair, I remember that music is here, music is now, and music is different. And that's like my philosophy, always, always. I don't have to worry about whether I'm gonna hit the right note, because even if I make mistakes, my mistake can lead me to a place that I never thought I'd go to or get to if I had made a mistake. So there are no mistakes in improv, That's me.
You mentioned Keith Jarrett.
Yes.
You, in those days, was doing the improvisation concerts, the Coleman concerts, and so forth, influencing your life?
Oh, a huge influence. The fact that I'm doing solo voice concerts is a direct lift from Keith Jarrett's solo piano concerts, because I thought, how brave for a man to just simply approach a piano, sit down, and play it, and be so open and vulnerable, and the demands that it makes on the audience to be very attentive and very, very quiet, because you're not listening only with your ears, you're listening with your whole being. You just, and for someone to just do that, I thought was very, very brave, and I wanted to emulate that. I wanted to do pretty much the same thing. It's just walk on stage without, meeting the mystery of music, meeting the mystery of the moment, and just diving into it, just see what happens,
Well, you went to San Francisco, and things really opened up there. You met Linda Goldstein.
Linda Goldstein, who's been my manager now for 30 years, yes. Yeah.
And the recording career started?
The recording career started, my first album was just self-entitled, Bobby McFerrin, Moon Dance, and I did a tune with Phoebe Snow, and wrote some other pieces. Yeah, that's true. And then after that, they wanted me to follow up my first album with the second one. They were trying to promote me as the new Al Jarreau, and so they had all these big plans for me to be a huge sort of new pop star or whatever, something like that. And I was really, really at the time really ready to do solo voice, and so I was working with this arranger, this wonderful, wonderful musician by the name of Johnny Mandel, and he was thinking about writing pieces with me, and so I'd get together with him in his studio and sing some stuff, and he'd play the piano and blah blah blah. We did that for 2 weeks, and finally one day I said to him, Johnny, my heart's just not into this. I'm sorry, you're fabulous, but I'm just not there. And so of course I was called to the principal's office. The head of the music. Blue Note Records, Bruce Lundvall at the time, called me into his office because he wanted to know what went wrong, right? So I walked into his office and he says, well, what do you want to do, Bobby? And I said, well, I want to do a solo voice album. And he said, surprisingly, he said, okay. So I did an album called The Voice. That was my second album. And it was taped from live concerts that I did, seven concerts in Germany. And that became the album The Voice. And after that, then I pretty much worked exclusively solo-wise for a while. And in the beginning, I lost a lot of gigs because promoters couldn't understand what that was. What does it mean to be a solo voice artist? So when my first European tour, one of the earliest ones, I had a band, you know, and so they expected me to go over there with a band. So I fired the band and said, you know, I'm going to do this solo, and I lost half my gigs, you know, because the promoters just didn't understand what solo voice was, you know. But you know, it's pretty much been meat and potatoes for me ever since.
Well, as your career moves along, you do get that big hit.
I had an unintentional hit called "Don't Worry, Be Happy." What's really funny about that is that usually when you have a hit song in record industry wisdom, you promote it. You go out, you know, to do the "Don't Worry, Be Happy" tour. You know, you buy the "Don't Worry, Be Happy" mugs, and T-shirts, you know, and all the hype. You do all the shows. You know, they wanted me to open the Grammys and sing at the Academy Awards. Now, all this stuff is really good stuff, but at the time all this was happening, I had been touring for a long, long time, and I was very, very tired. And I really wanted to get home and get reacquainted with my family. So I took a year and a half off, just as Don't Worry was sailing out the doors and selling all these copies. Instead of touring the album, I went home and hung out with, you know, my wife and my kids, which is the best decision I ever made, because, you know, if I had been gone for another 2 or 3 years or something, I mean, who knows? But I married a wonderful, wonderful woman. We've been together for 35 years. Yeah. And, she's great. We met in Springfield, Illinois in January 1975. I was working at a club, playing piano with a band, you know, and playing, you know, like top 40 tunes. You know, the bands that played at hotels. Feelings, nothing more than, thank you, feelings. Right. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Yeah, so you know, we were doing that for a while. She walked in one night, and that was that. It was as simple as that. She walked in, and that was that. Yeah.
Going back to "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
Sure.
How did you write that song?
How did I write it? When I was a kid, one of the things that I used to do to help me remember the answers of tests would be to make up a song with the answers to a test. For example, if I knew we were going to be tested on capitals in the United States, I would list the capitals, but then I would also make a song out of them, so I would remember the capitals. That's what I would do. And so I was walking down the street, you know, in my 30s, I guess, I must have been around 35, 36, walking down the street, and I saw this poster with this guy's face on it, Mayor Baba. I think that was his name, and it said, "Don't Worry, Be Happy," under his picture. And so I started singing "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Now, I hadn't written lyrics or anything to it, but I just wrote the "Don't worry," I wrote that part. And I was working on an album, I think the album was called Simple Pleasures, and I was working on another tune and I got stuck. I didn't know what to do with it. So I told everybody to take a break, and I went and I wrote the lyrics and recorded it. So the lyrics and the recording took maybe about 90 minutes to do all together. And, you know, and I just sort of wrote this tune and that was that. But the tune just took off. I mean, I was really, really surprised. I didn't sit down to intentionally say, okay, I'm going to write myself a hit song right now. You know, it was just, I just wrote this tune, and it was on the album, and it just sailed out the door. Hey, Tomas, peace, man.
Well, the Oregon Block Festival has been doing some social media questions, and here's a question from a Twitter follower. How would your career have been different if "Don't Worry, Be Happy" never happened?
Who can say? I don't think that's a question I can actually answer. I set out simply, my goal was to be a working musician, and that was it. Just a working musician, support my family, stay with music. So I don't think I would have stopped being a musician. I would have just kept on and just doing other things. Hello, dear. Yes, I'll talk to you later. Okay. Can I call you back? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
But Don't Worry, Be Happy was the first a cappella song ever to reach the top of the charts. You recorded all the voices.
I did. I did,
You
yes.
did. How brazen was that at the time?
Was it brazen? No, I never thought of it that way. I was just multi-tracking. It was very simple. I don't know if that was brazen at all, but that's my response to that question.
When people have hit songs, they oftentimes grow tired of performing it over and over and over. Do you still sing it now?
No, I haven't sung Don't Worry, Be Happy in concert since November of 1988. It's true. I stopped singing it because, see, by the time everyone else heard it, you know, in the recording, I had already sung it 500 trillion times. So I stopped singing it. And also, the other reason is because I didn't want everybody to get attached to that. I wanted them to see all the other things that I was doing. You know, that was in the moment, that was then and there. And performances are always here and now, as I said. So, but the only time that I do even a little smidgen of it is when, like, you know, like, when I do concerts, I have an extra microphone, and I offer it to anyone who wants to come on stage and sing with me. And every once in a while, a kid will come up, and they'll go, "But you don't worry, be happy." And you can't refuse them, so I usually let them sing the song, and I just sort of, and I just do the accompaniment, you know. So they're singing the song, and I just accompany, and then the audience goes. But that's the only way. I mean, I don't walk out on stage, you know. I leave, you know, yay, and I walk back out and do an encore. My encore is never "Don't Worry, Be Happy." It's never that. It's never, ever that. Sometimes it's a tune. Sometimes I haven't turned on the house lights and just, you know, say, "Do you have any questions that you want to ask me about anything?" And we just have like a question and answer period for like 15 minutes after a concert. That's my encore, mostly.
Well, I think the answer to my earlier question is you may not know what you're going to be doing when you go out there, but you certainly know what you're not going to be doing.
I know what I'm not going to be doing, that's right.
Well, you've sold more than 20 million recordings. Do you like the recording process?
I'm not enamored with it. No, I don't like, because every time you know, you have to commit to something on tape, and inevitably I'll listen to it and I'll think, oh, I could have done that a little bit differently, or that note's just not quite on center. It's a little flat. You know, I start picking it apart. You know, so I'm not crazy about the recording process. No.
Do you have perfect pitch?
I have imperfect pitch.
Most of us do.
Yeah, I have pitch memory. You know, I can remember where to begin a song. You know, I know that begins there. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. You know, it's always in the same place. It's like muscle memory, you know. My muscles know exactly where to go. Do you have any questions? Oh, go ahead.
Hang on, we'll get to your questions in a second. Here's a question from a Facebook fan.
Facebook.
Would you ever consider doing the soundtrack for a movie using the same approach you use for the voice with no accompaniment?
Yes, I would. It would depend on the movie. I've been approached several times to do tracks for movies. I did a track for a documentary about the AIDS quilt that they used to take to the White House or the Capitol, and it just got so big that they couldn't bring it anymore. And that movie, that documentary, won an Academy Award. And I've been approached several times to do films, but you know, it depends on the context, it depends on the story, it depends if it's interesting enough, if I think that, you know, solo voice or voices is enough for the film. But nothing's really come across my way that I've been excited about.
I imagine most of you folks were at the 40th Gala concert the other night, and it was such a wonderful concert. One of the highlights of that concert, I mentioned because we have the two performers in the room right now, Thomas Kwastov over here. Bobby, you've done so many things and taken music in such interesting ways, so What's ahead for you?
Well, I'll tell you what my dream band is. I want to put together a band. The personnel is James Taylor, Alison Krauss, Eric Clapton, Bruce Hornsby, Steve Gadd, and bassist to be determined. But that's something I'd really like to do. Just hang out with James and Alison, just sing background harmonies with them, and just kind of hang out with Eric Clapton on guitar. And oh my goodness, so that's next. You know, keep your ears posted. You know, because I'd really like to do that. It's funny. I was in the restaurant of my hotel today when Bruce Hornsby actually walked in with his family, and I said, Bruce, come on, let's talk about this. Let's do this. You know, so we'll see. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do next. Right.
Next for us, let's turn it open to the public here and see if there are any questions of anything that you've always wanted to ask Bobby McFerrin. Raise your hand and
Yes.
let's see.
Yes, young man.
What's it like to walk into a store and have people faint right in front of you?
No one's ever fainted right in front of me. That's never happened. But I do attract attention from time to time. You know, people want my autograph and have, take my picture and stuff like that. You kind of get used to it after a while. In the beginning, it was, I would run. But now, it's just part of my everyday kind of life in a way. You just sort of say hello. If I really wanted to be hidden or go away, I would find a spot where I wouldn't be seen, or, you know what I mean? If I need some privacy. But,
Yes, we're way in the back. Question is about how does pitch memory work?
How does it work? I think a lot of it has to do with muscle memory. My muscles just know where to go, and my ear tells me if I'm right on or if I'm a little sharp or flat, or fatigued. Sometimes when I'm fatigued or I've been singing for a long time, sometimes I might sing, Blackbird sing. And I know that's wrong. What else is on
Here, ma'am.
Do you actually sing when you inhale?
I do.
Can I ask you
Yes.
how you discovered that, developed that?
I developed it because I had to figure out a way of breathing musically so that I didn't disrupt a phrase. So, pardon?
And it's also being your own
Being on my own accompaniment. That's always been a hard word for me to say. Accompaniment. Is that how you say it? Accompaniment. Right. Yes.
The song on Medicine Man that your dad sings on,
Oh.
Discipline, did you guys sing that together? I mean, I know you recorded it separately in the studio, but was there interplay between you singing that song?
I had already done my part, and I went to St. Louis, and my father sang his part separately. He put his part on later after the tune had essentially been done, except for him. So he went into the studio later and put his part on.
So you guys have never connected on
We
that?
didn't actually sing together, but we have sung together. The first time that I did the Ave Maria, the Bach Gounod Ave Maria, my father was the soloist. Yeah, and we did that in Germany somewhere. I think we did it a couple of times. One of the most wonderful times that I ever sang this piece was when in Paris, about a year ago, Placido Domingo was in the audience. And he had come backstage to say hello. And he said, I can only stay for 30 minutes because I have to go and do something, blah, blah, blah. So after I'd been singing for about 25 minutes, I said, Placido, are you still in the hall? And he said, yes. And I said, turn up the house lights. He was sitting at the first balcony, dead center. And I said, let's do the Bach Gounod together. And so he stood up from the balcony, and I'm on stage. And he starts to sing, and you talk about chills. Oh my goodness! Yeah, that was a moment for me. I'm telling you, that was really something. Yeah. Yes, back there. Yes, you.
I wanted to go back to 2 years old.
to when I was 2 years old.
2 years old, you said your parents knew
Right.
you were a musician. Can you tell me if they guided you at that point, or if they just watched what you did and how you did it? What was...
Well, my parents guided me probably in ways that they weren't even aware of by playing Beethoven and Basie in my house when I was a kid. Now they say that they knew I was a musician because I would listen to the radio, and they claimed that at 2 years old I could hear melodies and sing the melodies as best as I could as a 2-year-old could. But you know, there were some songs that I guess were on the radio that I could sing, and they knew that at 2, you know, being able to do that at 2 years old, that I had the talent for music if I chose to pursue it.
But did you then start doing things with the instruments right away?
I started studying piano and theory and stuff when I was 6. We lived about 2 miles from Juilliard, and they had this program for kids. And so my mom enrolled me in that when I was 6 years old. So I started like my first compositions when I was 6, and played piano when I was studying piano when I was 6 years old.
Bobby, you have 3 children?
I have 3 children. I have 3
Are
children.
they musical?
Yes. My oldest is interested in writing and producing other artists. He's 29. My daughter is 18. She just graduated from high school. She's going to Berklee School of Music. She's a voice major. My middle child graduated from the Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, and he's on the acting track as best as he can. Can I throw to sing? No. I can approximate it. I don't really know how to do it. I sort of do a faux throat. You know? Yeah. Yes. What music has awed me the most? That's so difficult to say, because I'm awed by Mozart, you know? Conducting Mozart is, oh my goodness, what a thrilling experience that is. And then playing with Keith, not Keith, but Chick Corea. We do a lot of duo concerts together. Now that's awe-inspiring because he's just an amazing musician. And, you know, that's very odd. Oh. Yes, I heard my name, yes. That's a new album called Vocabularies, and it took about 8 years to put together. It was arranged, it was composed and arranged by a guy named Roger Treese. He's rehearsing now, I think, with the choir. No, maybe that's later. But about 8 years in the making. And what Roger did was he went into the archives of a lot of concerts. Every concert that I do is recorded, whether it's with voiceistro or solo voice. And he just listened to so many different ideas, and he found little motifs and things, and he developed these pieces out of them. It's pretty amazing.
Did you work with Savion Glover?
I did.
What kind of, were you using your body as a percussion instrument?
I did, yeah. We did some duo stuff. Savion Glover, a great dancer. Yeah, we did some concerts together. Quite a few, actually. Yeah, just voice and tap. Very cool.
Okay, so some voice and tap.
Pardon?
I just wanted to see how it worked. If it was voice and tap or just
voice
body
and tap. Yeah. Yes, young man.
You say your parents could tell that you were a musician when you were 2. How could they tell? Did you like bang pots with wooden spoons? Did you walk around? Did you crawl around the house singing?
No, well, did I crawl around the house singing? Yeah, I probably did. Sure. But no, I would sing pieces on the radio that I heard on the radio. There was a piano in the house. I did play the piano. I did study at a very early age, and I was a theory student. I learned, you know, my scales and modes and all that stuff, you know. Very young, but it really doesn't matter. I don't know if it's stuck at all. It's probably in there, but I really couldn't tell you what it's all about there. Yeah.
When did you begin?
When did I begin? I must have been 5 or 6, something like that. I play, you know, if there's a piano on the stage, occasionally I'll play it, sit down and play a tune, and sing, you know. But I learned all that stuff, yeah. Theory and scales and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, and I hated practicing. I hated it as a kid. But I love, are you a piano teacher? Oops, sorry. I just.
I've heard it before.
You've probably heard it before. Yes.
Aside from music, what else inspires you or balances out?
Well, I spend the first thing that I do in the morning is I get up and I pray for a long time because, you know, the thing that's really, really important to me. I mean, music is like the scent of the rose, but I think it's so important to make sure that you've got an ongoing conversation with your maker who made you and gave you this gift. The gifts that we have, I sincerely believe, and I got this from my dad, he always felt that he was entrusted with a talent, that God gave him a talent to take care of. And when you're taking care of your gift, you're taking care of yourself. In order to take care of your gift, you have to take care of yourself. So the first thing that I do that inspires me is Jesus, and I pray and ask for help to get me through the day. So that's my main hang. That's the first thing, and that's before I sing a note. You know, because I know that I can't sing without the enabling of the Spirit to help me to sing. You know what I mean? You get it?
Yeah. Let's go up to the balcony. There's a lady up there, and a couple of ladies up there.
If dance is a part of my life, I spent quite a few years working with dancers, and to this day I work with a dancer by the name of Tandy Beal. I've been working on an improvisational opera project called Babel. It's based on the 11th chapter of Genesis, the Tower of Babel, and we bring all these diverse musicians and singers from different cultures, and we workshop for like a week, and then we put on a performance, or 2 performances at the end. And Tandy Beal is the choreographer, and by that I mean she shows us how to use the space that's around us. But I've been working with dance for a very, very long time, yeah, and love it. Learned a lot from dancers. In the beginning, when I would do solo voice concerts, at the end of a concert I'd be stiff, and I had a dancer tell me it's because I wasn't allowing my body to sing. I was just singing from my larynx and my voice. And she taught me to let my body sing, and ever since then I haven't been stiff after a concert, so, you know, it works, yeah. Are you a dancer? Yes, she is. And you're a piano teacher. Yeah.
When you invoked a little earlier the song that you sang for the documentary, it's one of the most beautiful pieces of music I've ever experienced in my life. I'm curious if you see the film first and then compose that and sing it, and was that through improvisation? Or?
Yes, it was through improvisation, and working on this film was interesting because I only saw the scenes that I was actually writing the music to. There were about 40 musical cues, and some cues would be 15 seconds, some would be 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And the long one was improvised, you know. So I saw this scene, and you know, and I sang this and played the piano. And what's really funny is that I wasn't really all that taken with it in the beginning, but fortunately, the film producer said, well, we'll keep that because we might be able to use it in a scene later on. And he was absolutely right, and it turned out to be, you know, the theme for the movie, basically.
Yeah. And I've heard it used in a couple of other contexts.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wait downstairs on red.
Yep.
You look so youthful and physically vibrant.
Thank you. What do I do? I think about what I eat before I stuff my mouth with food. When I'm at home, I have a little gym, so I work out. I'm on the treadmill at least 5 days a week, and I have weights, and I work out weights 3 days a week. I live in the woods. I'm surrounded by woods, and there are trails around my property. I've got 2 dogs, and I take at least 2 walks a day with them. And that's basically it. And my wife is a great cook. Yes.
So I've heard some of your work with Richard Bona.
Yeah.
I was wondering how you came to meet him.
We met when we recorded an album I did called Beyond Words. Actually, no, that's not right. I forgot. We met in a club that he was playing at with Joe Zawinul called Caroline's in Los Angeles. Oh, goodness gracious. I want to say 10, 12 years ago, something like that. He was playing bass with Joe Zawano, and he blew me away. Wow, what technique. You know, and then so when I was working on Beyond Words, he was the bassist on that record. My five favorite albums? Are you kidding? 5 favorite. Okay. There's an album, Keith Jarrett's first solo record called Facing You would certainly be one of them. Let's see. I don't know which orchestra, but Le Sacre du Printemps by Stravinsky would be another one. The Rite of Spring. Let's see. Another one would be probably Mysterious Traveler by Weather Report. Fulfillingness' First Finale by Stevie Wonder. And let's see, that's 4, right? 5. Maybe a recording of Mozart's. Yeah, probably 40. Mozart's 40th Symphony. You know, when people say, how does the 40th begin? Most people go, but it begins. Isn't that the way it begins, right? No. That's it, yeah. Okay. Maybe a couple more questions? Yes?
Talk about being able to sense when the audience is getting what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you have stories of it took a really long time.
Sometimes it takes a really long time. You know, it doesn't really bother me. This is what I do. This is my approach. This is ideal for me. This is probably the last question. But I insist on sitting on a chair that's encircled by a single light. I like the house completely black, dark, so I can't see a single face. Because I don't want to be distracted by the audience at all. So I sit in my chair and I begin to sing, and when I sing my first notes, they're for me, to show me where I am. I ask myself all kinds of questions, like, what is the condition of my voice tonight? And I get that information when I begin to sing. What are the acoustics in the hall with people in it? I get that information when I begin to sing, you know? So the first things that come out of my mouth, even though the audience is present, I'm very possessive of those moments because they're for me, you know? And I can sense an audience, but I don't like to see them. And if I'm in a situation where I can actually see the audience, I'll close my eyes and I'll sing to myself. Now, that might sound selfish, but for me, it's like just getting in tune and making sure that I'm rested in my sound and I'm safe. I feel okay, and I'm okay. Then once I get to that point, and sometimes it might take me 5 minutes, it might take 10 or 25 minutes, then come and hang with me. Then I'll invite the audience to come and sing with me. But I get a lot of sort of intuitive information just by singing out there and just see what comes back. And you can tell by the way an audience responds, you know, how quiet they are, you know, in the beginning. You know, if anyone's rustling or if they're attentive and they've all turned off their cell phones, that kind of stuff. You can kind of tell, you know. But there are some audiences that takes them a while. And then there are some that I actually have to sort of rein in because, you know, because they're just too enthusiastic. But, okay, I'll sing something.